Welcome back to another episode of Have Game Will Travel. I'm your host, Bennett Newsome, also known as Damn It Bennett in the gaming community. But as the Director of Esports Growth and Development here at Full Sail University, I'm super passionate about exploring the diverse world of esports and gaming beyond just skill level. So whether you're a first-time listener or a returning fan, we're thrilled to have you join us for this virtual journey through the experiences of industry professionals. So get ready to engage with our guests and learn from their perspective. Remember to submit your questions in the chat and we'll get them featured. But let's sit back, enjoy the ride as we kick off another episode of Have Game Will Travel with my good friend Danielle. Danielle, welcome to the show. How are we doing today?
Great. I'm excited. You have the best intro. You like and you're
Hey,
very
you know,
not stoic. That's not the right word,
okay.
maybe.
I
Statuesque? I don't know.
All right, I'm here to gas you up, but I also appreciate the uplift. So thank you for
Yeah.
that. Well, why don't we go ahead and introduce yourself? Tell everybody who you are and what you do.
Yeah. So I am Danielle Sirekis. I'm the director of esports at Florida Tech. And I'm formerly from Michigan.
We were just talking about being in Florida and the weather going back to. I was born in Canada. I grew up in Minnesota, and going back there is fun. But living in it, I couldn't do it anymore. I could. But you seem to be like, hey, I don't know, maybe the cold.
Maybe. I don't well, see I haven't been back to the snow. I
Okay.
left in like the very last winter that I left to come here, there was no snow until the last day we were packing and I left in a snowstorm. Um, so I kind of
So
like
yeah,
dodged the bullet for the very last second.
right.
And so, I'm a little jaded that I don't remember. And the last time I visited was to watch actually Cody graduate
Oh, that's right.
from Lawrence Tech. So I went back but that was May. So it was
Yeah.
not
No.
cold. It
Yeah.
was
No
sunny.
cold. No cold in May.
Uh, yeah.
Well, let's start from the beginning. Let's talk about it. What got you first into esports? What was the thing that kicked off, gaming and esports for you?
Yeah. Oh, this is a long story. So I think growing up, we're probably around the same age, yeah. Super Nintendo was probably my first purchase as a kid, and really
Yeah.
my grandpa purchased it, but it felt like me. So my first ever favorite game that really got me into it was Super Mario RPG,
Uh,
Legend of the Seven Stars. You gotta say it that way because they remade it. So I'm a real OG of
yeah.
that. And then video games were kind of like a thing to keep you busy when you weren't allowed to go outside because you had to wait for your
Yep.
parents to come home,
Mm-hmm.
or if it was raining and then I went outside and played with the kids. I always played traditional sports too. So I, in high school, fast forward and I swam. But before my swim meets, because I grew up in a single parent household, I would play Unreal Tournament in the library before swim meets, and I like barely knew what I was doing. I think they probably just tolerated me and they were probably like, "Oh, a girl is here."
Yeah.
So I used to play Unreal Tournament with them and that was a lot of fun. And so then kind of it took a back seat and I got into actually coaching swimming.
Okay.
So the whole coaching thing has always kind of been a part of my life. And I really enjoyed coaching, but when I thought I was going to go into healthcare, and
Yeah.
so coaching didn't work. Coaching swimming is what I did, and coaching swimming does not work with 12-hour shifts in healthcare.
Yeah.
So I had to stop doing that. Fast forward, and I was working as a patient advocate in a level 1 trauma center, and I worked midnights, and here's a shout out to you, Bennett. So I used to play Destiny with, a few groups of my friends, because we stayed on the same sleep schedule. So we
Yeah.
played all night long when we were off. Because what else do you have to do?
Right.
It's like 2 o'clock in the morning, everyone's asleep, and so was big into that, and my friend Jason, his wife worked at Lawrence Tech, as, like, a student affairs coordinator and then, ended up becoming the director of not student affairs, student, like, engagement. They call it
Right.
different names there. It's every university calls it something different. it's hard to keep up with. But she told me about the position at Lawrence Tech. And she said, "Hey, I don't know that if you really want this, but check out the job description, see if it fits your needs." And I looked at it, and at first I was like, I don't, what is this? What is this shift?" And then I thought about it further, and I was like, you still like video games. I was kind of missed a part where I was actually shifting away from, do I still continue to play, or
Right.
do I take whatever this adult, quotations, adult next stage of life is? Should I,
Yeah.
I didn't really know where I was going. And so I took the leap,
Yeah.
and I went full steam, probably a little too hard into it. And then that landed me here.
Yeah.
And I know I missed a lot of steps in between there, but it's, I think it was just always getting involved. But I
Yeah.
never really liked multiplayer games. If I'm talking about games, I love
Okay.
RPGs. Pokemon is my
Yeah.
jam.
All right.
Probably because I'm type A and like to collect them. Like, so it gives me goals and metrics to hit.
Okay. I like
This
that
is
though.
ridiculous.
I like that. So, you talk about healthcare, starting in healthcare. That's kind of where your initial path was, and then you kind of
Mhm.
split off. You found this opportunity, and went full steam ahead, like you said. How did your background in healthcare influence kind of your approach to esports leadership?
Ooh, so healthcare is unique. Hospital healthcare. Let's focus
Yeah,
on that. I
trauma
think
trauma
there's
one is definitely
yeah,
an intense place to
yeah.
be, man.
Yeah. I honestly, I'll diverge from it. That I actually miss that the most. Like, I don't miss the work because it sucked to be a patient advocate and get yelled at all the time.
Yeah,
I miss the adrenaline rush and how everyone came together as a team.
yeah.
So, but basically, I had a lot of some really bad leaders in healthcare.
Okay.
And so I think bad leaders are just as important as good leaders.
Right.
It sounds backwards, but when you have a bad leader, you kind of pause and go, well, that's not who I want to be for the people around me.
Right.
And that's not what I should strive to do. So healthcare in that sense shaped me to try to be like the leader I kind of need. And that's the same thing as parents, right? You
Right.
you try to be the parent you needed.
Right.
But it's
Yeah.
it's that I also had a really good leader. I'm not gonna name her, but she was a director of nursing so I was a nursing assistant before I was a patient advocate, and then I graduated and she put me in a bunch of like initiatives
Mhm.
to Kanbans, to launch random things throughout the hospital. So everyone was really angry at me because they thought she was playing favoritisms, but I don't know. I met executive leadership and all that stuff,
Right.
which is not that's unheard of when you're a nursing assistant. But she told me that in healthcare, when everybody is like looking at their managers and
Mhm.
looking for problems, they never look at the top. And it's usually always the top that's the problem, and they will fire middle management.
Right.
So when those signs start, pay attention to them. So I think from a academic standpoint, I look at that. I know academics people think that people aren't transparent, but if you come from healthcare, believe me, they're far more transparent in healthcare or in academia than they are in healthcare. But
Yeah.
so taking that, I also had some really great leaders in the emergency room. And she's never going to watch, but Michelle did a like basically went on a limb for me. I was working midnights. I was super unhappy. This is when I was like, I need to find a new job, but I
Yeah.
didn't want to make the jump yet. And I was like, Michelle, I cannot do this anymore. I cannot work midnights. I am a shell of myself. I'm happy.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that's
and so she
tough.
made a shift for me and worked 12 to 12. And then I started to get healthy and take care of myself and realized like if I take care of myself, I'm a better person for everybody. So all of those things to
Yeah.
say, you take the good and the bad from people, and it kind of shapes you who you are. Um, and it gives you a different perspective. One of the things that clicked the last year or so that I was at Lawrence Tech is somebody said, there are no emergencies in esports. Um, and that made an even bigger click on me because obviously I worked in an ER.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, dang, that's pretty true.
Yeah.
So I realized I have to stop giving people access to me every second of the day.
Yeah.
And just like, for instance, you have business hours. Obviously, if you have competition, it's within competition. But if it's a random Sunday, nothing is happening. I do, in fact, screen the messages, but I'm not going to
Right.
answer if they're like, "What I'm gonna miss class on Tuesday." I'm like, "That's a Monday
Yeah.
problem."
That's it.
So, yeah, so kind of a long answer just to say, like,
No.
it
Yeah.
it full circle shaped the way that I operate because I reflect back on that. But now I've been out of healthcare for so long that I almost forgot how, uh, soul crushing it is.
But I think this is something that like adds to your lore, right? Like just going through that. That 10-hour shifts, is that what you were working overnights? I mean,
So,
that's intense. Like
I was working 12s.
12-hour shifts, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, that doesn't sound
7 to
fun.
7.
Doesn't
Yeah.
sound fun at all. But you've managed to really build something special now. Obviously, you started at Lawrence Tech. Talk about building that program up. I mean, what were some of the biggest challenges you faced when you were trying to pick that up off the ground?
Yeah. I think my biggest challenge is probably always going to be myself. I know that's cliche to say, but I think I tried to do. I wanted to achieve everything in my job description and just check off the boxes,
Right.
which is kind of ridiculous. But maybe that's the problem with me. I'm an overachiever, high performing overachiever due to family trauma. But anyway, it's really can be a problem. So I just started checking off boxes.
Yeah.
I think I we competed across 8 to 9 titles. I say it that way because you have, like, iRacing,
Right.
and I had a student there, but I just had to be there for him. Um, and then I had not paid coaches, but I had, paid coaches across almost all the titles. And then we operated out of a small, I don't even know how many square footage, but it held only 12 PCs.
Yeah.
And Lawrence Tech had told me that the plan had always been with two, like that was a temporary room and they were going to expand. And to their defense, I don't think they expected me to grow that program as
Right.
fast as
Yeah.
I did. And I was given a couple options when I started that program. My boss had said, "Hey, you can either completely recruit or you can completely recruit, or you can have all walk-ons and then focus on recruiting next year, or you can do a mix." So
Yeah.
3 options. And I chose first I was hell bent on only recruiting, but I would challenge anyone to try to recruit for, like, we'll say an Overwatch team because
Yeah.
Anna's in the chat, and just get on that call and be like, "I would you like to come to my school?" And them
Mm-hmm.
ask you how many kids you have on your team, and you say,
You.
Well, none." Yeah, no, 0. So I found out quickly that did not work,
Mm-hmm.
and so I pulled from the club and then started reaching out to students. And I had some really great student leaders that helped kind of like show me the ropes and teach me as much as I needed to know
Yeah.
about esports. And so, yeah, hindsight, I would have not had that many titles, but like it's what I know now. If I
Yeah,
knew
it's a
then
learning
type.
experience, right? Like hey, we're gonna do this, and then we're like, oh, let's narrow it in a little bit, right?
Yeah. Well, and I kind of rewind back to a couple conversations I had with my boss at the time, and he was always like, "Well, who are you competing with, Danielle?" And I'm like, "Everyone. I am the whole campus." Like, so not esports, just like, hey, it was kind of like proving esports was a thing. Had
Right.
a lot of you know, that school had a lot of people that worked there for a long, long time. So they're a little bit older. They were kind of stuck in their ways. But then as they started to see it, they understood that students lit up and they
Yeah.
enjoy it. So
Yeah.
they kind of, once you see that, then you get the buy in. But they just, I would have to try to explain, "Hey, I went to the first coaches meeting and I had a coach say, "Well, none of my kids play video games." I said, "I think you're lying or
Yeah.
you don't know them." And
It's a bold
then
statement. Yeah, none of them at all play video games, right? Like,
yeah. Yeah. So I said, "Hey, how about you go back to your teams, all of you, and ask them who plays video games? Because I bet like 95% of them
yeah,
play that." And they're like, "That's crazy. It wouldn't be that much." Well, guess what? It was.
it was.
Um, yeah, yeah. So that was a big one. And then the other thing is I said, "Hey, I really wish I would have started a different career." Because obviously that was my second career and I thought kind of like I was stagnant in my former career. And, as a patient advocate for 5 years, there was no room for growth in healthcare.
Right.
So I was like really frustrated with like I didn't want to be there and get stuck in this place that I was as a patient advocate. And he was like, "Danielle, the best advice I can give you is just follow the river." And I'm like, "Okay, medicine man, like what is what are we doing?" And then now I realize what he meant.
Right.
And it's just funny to come at those times, those conversations can be kind of frustrating,
Yeah.
but then you're like, you have these aha moments, so to speak.
Yeah, looking back and thinking like, okay, this makes sense about enjoying it. I think my dad said like, "Hey, you're having a great time, but just remember to enjoy the ride, like
Yeah.
you're so in it right now. Take a second to like you're doing some cool stuff, like have fun with it." And that's advice that I've always tried to keep, you know, because
Yeah.
it's easy to miss that and get so like in the weeds with things. But how long were you at Lawrence Tech for?
I started in COVID, so that was a weird
Fun
transition from an
times,
ER.
yeah,
Well, I worked in the ER where I had to be, and then I went
yeah.
to this working from home. And I used to, like a good little soldier, get up at 8 a.m., sit at my computer. Nobody knew who I was. So I'd sit at my computer just waiting for 8 hours, waiting for an email. But so I think I was there just, I think 4 years
Okay,
because I've been here in January, it'll be
2
2 years.
years, yeah.
Um, and I say that I've been in esports for 5, but it might be 6,
It
which
sounds like it, yeah.
where does time go, Bennett?
I, I don't know. I really don't. We were talking about this the other day and coming up on like was it 19 years at Full Sail, which is insane in another world. But yeah, I don't know where time goes. It goes by really fast, and I think that what you've built there has continued to evolve and provided you the opportunity to come down to Florida, which is when I first met you, you were like, "Man, I want to be in Florida." Like that was the big conversation I think we had was about, "Man, I want to move down here." Like I remember, did you like you went somewhere else and you took like an interview and here we are now, 2 years later, and you are now the director of esports at Florida Tech. Talk to me about that transition, like starting something at Lawrence Tech and then building it to a point where you have a new opportunity to go somewhere. What was that? What was that doing for you? Like, what did it? Like, what kind of reaction was that when you found out? Like, hey, I've built something cool here that's getting me noticed enough that to provide the next step in my journey.
Yeah. Oh, so that was quite kind of like a whiplash. I don't know how to explain it because I'll say Antor reached out to me and had said, "Hey, um Dana is going to be stepping down
Yeah.
and is looking for somebody, and it just isn't necessarily fitting for most people. And so I know that you wanted to go to Florida. Um, and so I met with Dana,
Oh,
and I met with her on a Wednesday virtually. This was like the first week of December, and why that matters, there's a fun part in there. The first week of December, and so then I talked to my boss on Friday, so 2 days later, and we talked for 2 hours. And he said, "Hi, I want to fly you out here. Can you come here next week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday?" And what was funny about that is it was all of Lawrence Tech's Christmas parties.
oh wow.
Um, yeah. And I'm gonna toot my own horn. I'm not really one of those people that you don't notice that's missing from a room. Uh so
Right.
I was in a real rock and a hard place,
Yeah.
and I had to call my boss, MA. She's awesome. She was a shout out national coach winning NAIA lacrosse, awesome woman. And I had to call her, and she was actually in Florida, ironically. And I'm like, "MA, I'm getting flown down to Melbourne, Florida. It's on the ocean. It's an ocean town.
Yeah.
Um, and it kind of seems like they want to hire me already. I think I'm just going there as a formality to make sure I like the area and like the campus." Um, and she's like, "Okay, well, we'll talk on when you get back." And so then I waited till Monday to call her. Well, I think I texted her when I landed on Friday, and I said, "I'll talk to you on Monday." And then she asked if there was anything that we could do to keep you. And I said, "Well, you can't give me a notion." So
Yeah.
there's that. And then I was quite honest, and I said, "Listen, even if you could give me a notion, a full-time assistant director, shout out to Anna, amazing.
And
Yeah, a building dedicated to
yeah.
esports, 5,800 square feet with 60 PCs. Even if you could give me all of those things, I don't think that I will stop the behavior that I am doing right now
Yeah.
unless I remove myself from it." And she was like, "What do you mean?" I said, I give every ounce of myself to this program. And I don't know that more money, help, or any of that will stop that behavior. I think that I have to go. I just feel it. And I think this is one of those moments that I will regret for the rest of my life if I don't leave and try it. Because I can always come back to Michigan. That's where I'm from, all my family. Um, and she respected that,
Yeah.
and asked her not to tell anyone because I wanted to tell the president, and I wanted to tell somebody who was helping me, with school. And the crazy thing about school too, I started my MBA there, is I was, like, in the last semester that classes would transfer. So, like, it was a perfect storm of
Yeah.
everything that would allow me to transfer. I wasn't losing anything. Obviously, access to my family, but
Right.
who doesn't want to come down here? I was gaining a full-time assistant director. I was gaining a lot of staff. I was gaining work-life balance. That's what I came down here to, like, think about that. And yeah, I mean, I had to do it. It was not easy to leave that team. I wrote them. It Jamie, my boss, wanted me to come down here January 1. So we're talking like
Yeah.
a week and a 2-week turnover. And
This
I
is why
said, "I can't."
December mattered, right? Like
Yeah, yeah, and I said, "I cannot." So I pushed back, and I told him I couldn't leave until the be down there till the end of January. But I was remote. God love Lawrence Tech. They let me be remote for the last week of work, and that was to make sure everyone was registered and to get them at least started for the semester, so they weren't just like left high and dry. Because I figured
Right.
if they weren't going to survive, it was going to be, or what, it was contingent upon if they were registered or not. And Cody would have registered them and stuff, but like this was my last gift to them, I guess. but I bawled my eyes out while I was talking to them over Zoom because I couldn't talk to them in person, because I had to leave. And I knew that the news was going to break from Florida Tech before they came back from school, and before I didn't want them to hear it from anybody else. I owed them that. So, yeah, that was hard.
Yeah, but that comes with the territory, right? Like when you make a big change like that, and you move on to that next step, you have to have some sad parts of it, but obviously what you've been able to accomplish and continue on and build here in Florida has been really great. What's been kind of the thing that you've been the most excited about in this new role?
Yeah. Well, I mean, with Anna and I restructured a lot of stuff, just to give people more transferable skills, like actual real life experience where they can carry into their job. Because when you work at a STEM school or a private school, or I mean, even full sail, like the students that are going there know what they want to do, and they're going there like they fit because that's the school they fit. Like I wouldn't have fit at Florida Tech. Obviously, I fit there as an employee, but as a student, it wouldn't have been like the place I would have ended up.
Right.
So restructuring, giving students experience, and kind of entering the esports world that they really didn't see. Our students don't even realize like that they're super fortunate that none of like esports programs don't have buildings, and they all think that they do, and I'm like, no, this is
This
it,
is not as
no,
yeah.
this no. And then the next like I can't take them to full sale because that doesn't
Bring
that
them here.
goes against my point. Like they'll just think that I'm lying. But it's we raised GPAs, so we held students more accountable. When I inherited the program, we were at a 2.83 cumulative GPA. And then we just started implementing at the beginning of this semester 5 to 15 minute meetings, just like introducing you and
Yeah.
telling us what class, so they don't associate every meeting with badness.
Hmm.
So we did that. And then we have an app. Florida Tech has an app they created called the Hub, and so we kept track of their grades, and we raised their 2.83 to a 3.24 in the fall.
That's awesome.
So that was significant GPA raise, and then spring ended up being a 3.12. But at spring is always the hardest
Yeah.
because they're always like, I need to go. Um, and then, I guess my next awesome thing is I force Anna to do everything. uh, and she is now on the competition council. So
Yes.
it is
Congrats.
her turn to shine.
And you were part of like the competition console and a lot of aspects of NACE for almost the entirety of your tenure in collegiate esports. And is this the first season, the first year that you're not necessarily in a specific role with NACE?
Yeah. I started, so Jackie shouted out earlier that we met in a random video call. We were the only two women and we became friends. And she quickly was like, Danielle, you should be a part of the awards committee. And I'm like, I have worked in esports for 3 months, but sure.
That sounds great.
Right, right. And then she ended up getting elected to the board, I think that next season. But then I ended up on the EEC actually.
Yeah. Okay.
And so I did that for I don't even know if I did that for 2 years, but I did that and then ended up on the board of directors. And so I've been on the board for 3 years, and I just concluded my
Yeah.
uh, 3 years, and that was quite emotional. I thought I got to the point where I was like, I am so ready to be off of leadership, and then psychology, it comes, and you're like, no, 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 no,
Not
I'm
yet.
not ready.
I need another
Right.
project.
I no, I'm just as guilty as Sarah. I'll throw myself into projects, and I'm like, I don't have time to do these projects, but yeah, it's weird to kind of think of the next chapter of not being a part of NACE leadership.
Yeah.
Um, And I can be,
Yeah.
they're like, "Do you wanna help plan the convention?" I'm like,
Yeah.
"Maybe just, like, let the paint dry first." And so I can be, but that would be, like, by choice, and I guess elected positions are all by choice,
Yeah.
but, um, my big thing is that I already mentioned it, it's other people's turn, it's Anna's turn, you can only have 1
Yep.
leader on, leadership, and, I had a good 5-year run,
Yeah.
and that doesn't mean I'm done, but, I wanna see what's next for me, while I can focus on Florida Tech and growing the community there, growing our program, and more importantly, myself, so I can
Yeah.
show up for myself because I did not show up for myself in pretty much all 5 years of esports.
Well, I'm glad that that's a priority now, right? Like
Yeah,
that you sometimes have to make those things about you, like and say, hey, I'm gonna commit to myself to do XYZ things because this is gonna be better in the long run. So, what sort of things are you trying to build good habits in and like get to the next level for yourself personally?
yeah. Well, I guess you want me to get a little candid here. Pre-esports, when I went on that shift that was 12 to 12 daytime shift,
Yep.
I had lost 75 pounds. I did 2 triathlons and a half marathon. And then a few months later, 6 months later, I probably started in esports. And during that journey,
Yeah.
you can see literally my progression of pictures where I stopped taking care of myself and focused on everything esports. And I guess trying to prove or do whatever it was I was trying to prove. And I got to the point where I felt like I had failed myself. And so I was really struggling a lot. And I'm like, here you are achieving all these things, but you failed yourself. And
Yeah.
it's weird to feel like you're doing great and failing at the same time.
Right. Yeah.
Um, and it's hard to explain. And people would be like, oh, give yourself grace. I'm like, but I don't give myself any grace. You think I'm hard on people? Be in my head.
Yeah.
And so I I that was part of the decision of the Lawrence Tech thing. I had
Yeah.
to go because I wasn't going to choose myself. And so I came here. Took me a minute to choose myself. I did start the MBA program up pretty like right when the summer hit. I took the spring off because I would have been moving and I just wouldn't have hit the time because you
Right.
have to get tuition remission. Um, and so now I'm doing with my health insurance. I We do keto, which I'm not fully uh, subscribing anyone to keto because I don't feel any more energetic than when I did count calories.
Right.
I just think it has to do with not putting a bunch of junk into your body.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
It's very.
and then I bought,
I've done that
yeah,
too, and it's not easy, and it is tough.
yeah, I complained this last couple of weeks, and Sari got it from me. It's like, how do I want ice cream? That's the only thing. I just wanted a little bit of ice cream. It
Hmm.
didn't have to be a lot,
Yeah.
but I just, I don't like the idea of. I like intuitive eating, but the problem is if you are like do anything that's emotionally based, you
Yeah.
tend to find ways to get rid of that. Or if you get super super busy, like you're at an esports event all day, you don't eat well because you're not like, hey, let me sit down and eat this salad. No, you'd sit down and like eat the pizza with the
Yeah.
other people, or
Yeah.
whatever catered food it was. So just making those better choices. And reminding myself that it didn't come back on overnight, so it's not going to go off overnight. But deep breaths.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do get
Taking.
ice cream now.
Okay. Good. Good. I'm glad. But that's good. You want to refill your cup, right? Like this is an industry that you said before, having some boundaries and setting some times for you to be on and in the world of esports and talking to your students, and then also you know having enough time for you to be like, hey, I gotta get good and I gotta do the things that I need to, and that's important. So I'm glad to hear that you're doing that. Let's talk about your program now at Florida Tech. Talk to me about athletes, like how many student athletes do you have, how many titles you play in, and what does that look like?
20 titles and 100. I'm just
Oh my
kidding. No.
god. And your own
I
building?
should
Oh my
I
gosh.
sh I should have held it a little bit longer so you could have just, like, just kept your eyes and you'd be like, "Everything she just said was ridiculous." Okay. So, we compete in 5 titles,
Yep.
Rocket League, Overwatch, League of Legends, Smash Bros, and Valorant. We have paid coaches across all those titles. Anna is paid, but she coaches Overwatch. So one day in a perfect world, I'll get her to stop coaching Overwatch, but it's what she loves.
Hey, you know?
Um, right? And so then we have around 50 students, give or take. Sometimes they're like, some of them are going for aviation. It's hard to be on an esports team and be into aviation because they have to fly at night and stuff like that.
Yep.
So we wax and wane a little bit. Um, and I think our focus has really been like Anna and I have chatted. One of the things I think that everyone should do, and I know this advice probably came from Sari, is like don't expand beyond a certain number because you're kind of like proving that you can do it with what the resources you have.
Yeah.
Uh, so the 50 students at Lawrence Tech, I proved that I could operate with them by myself,
Yep.
even though I was losing myself. But with Anna, we are effectively doing it much more effectively.
Yeah.
And we have chatted, and we have a number. We don't ever want to go past 75, but we're not in a rush to get there
Right.
either.
Right. Right.
Um, and even my boss has paused, and said, like, stop throwing a bunch of darts at a board and trying to make them all stick. Let's just pick a couple and then
Yep.
do better at those. So yeah, there's that. And we've grown. I have 20, well, around 20 student staff. I think that also is to run the building and add different roles like production. We'll never have shoutcasters, so we'll always borrow them for Full Sail. Um,
We're happy to send them.
you can't put engineers on camera, come on. Um, and we today we just got we don't have cool LED signs, even though I've been trying to talk everyone into the biggest LED sign I possibly can get. They won't budge because it's very expensive. But we just got digital signage outside our building.
Nice.
And Anna did some awesome graphics for that. So it was kind of like a project that took a year, and it, got me a little emotional because I'm like, finally, it feels like this is done. Um, and we've been doing more community events. We do intramurals too on campus. So we did a Mario Kart intramural. I know that they're going to be doing a football club intramural and probably Mario Kart again. We'll probably do Valorant. We also have orientation starting on Monday. So summer is over. And we have pick your passion. So we'll start recruiting students. Not recruiting. We're gonna have tryouts on 2 weekends,
Okay.
2 weekends from now. And so this next week, freshman orientation, we'll tell students that they can try out and see where they fit. And then also another cool one is we have behavioral analysis who has been doing research on our students for 4 years, well beyond
Oh, that's
us
cool.
being there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they pay attention to how they receive feedback, how they give feedback, how they communicate, and they have already found that these are straight transferred things that they've learned to their real job. And instead of getting angry, they have coping mechanisms. They also use keywords, and I've been really pushing to give them a platform, even though they're not under me. They're just like a auxiliary. They help us,
Yeah.
and if I advocate for them in esports in our school, I think that people have a hard time advocating for themselves. So I'll do it for them.
Yeah. And so that is that the psychology department that's doing that, or is it just like an outside um,
So they
research?
are called applied behavioral analysis. And so what their major is called ABA.
Okay.
So they also have organizational behavior. So I they're a little bit of psychology, but I think they're their own separate like slight field.
Okay, cool. And it's a degree. So these are students that are doing this, or this is the staff at the university.
Yeah, so these are students,
Okay, cool.
and they do have obviously a doctorate. Dr. Goki is the leader of it, and she like the students have the choice of studying behaviors in students with or people with autism, or I think it's like cockroaches, or esports
Okay,
people.
okay, cool. They had three great options. Like this is awesome.
Yeah, yeah, and, or palmetto bugs for those that are
Yes,
here in Florida. Florida.
Florida.
So yeah, so we had there was a student that was really interested in esports and had brought that whole topic to the campus and to Dr. Goki, and it kind of just ran with it.
Yeah.
And so last year, we had a student present at Full Sail on stage, and then this year our students came to Dallas and presented. And technically, they're not my students; that's a completely separate department.
We're gonna put
But
them under the umbrella of your students.
yeah,
Like
yeah. So, and they're awesome, and they did an amazing job, and they networked,
yeah,
and they call themselves behavior performance coaching as a more palatable term.
yeah.
So, yeah, I think that they're doing awesome things, and I think it makes us a little bit unique. And I gotta give them a shout out every time I can.
Right. I like that. And you've been working on kind of you mentioned this earlier, like a pathway to the industry, right? Like that these skills are transferable.
Mhm.
And going into that, talk to me a little bit about your structure for students and what that looks like.
Yeah. So the thing that I am still arguably trying to figure out is how to implement like quote unquote captains from trad sports.
Right.
Obviously, you have IGL, and then I always view it as something different. In esports, I view like a captain as somebody who's, a champion outside of their game. Yes, they need to be a leader in their game, but they don't have to be because I
Right.
am trying to have people build a culture and be involved. The thing is, the the low hanging fruit one is always going to be accountability. I have this past year we implemented where um, basically I'm if you have homework and you say I have this assignment due tomorrow, I have to miss practice.
Yeah.
I'm not going to make you go to practice, but we are going to have a conversation afterwards on
Right.
why the assignment just showed up last night, because I know you have a syllabus, and I know
Hmm.
that you also have a thing called a calendar. And so why didn't you create time management? Because
Yep.
this is if you did that to your boss and said, "Hi, I have to do this thing," they wouldn't accept that. So
Yep.
it's something like that. And culture is a little bit harder. It's Florida, so they don't want to go outside ever. We tried to a beach banquet, and
Okay.
that did not work. Um, so we will not do that again.
Yep.
So we're not really afraid to fail. I don't, it stinks when they don't show up, but it's hard tearing
If we're not
down.
touching grass, I don't think we're gonna touch sand either.
Yeah.
Like that's just you know too much, and
Mm-mm,
it is hot.
mm-mm.
Like let's just be honest, Florida is crazy hot. Like it's too hot for me.
Yeah, I mean, listen, that was May. They'll be all right. It's
Ugh.
not.
Wait till August
Uh,
rolls around.
oh
Wait,
yeah,
we're in
I
August,
know.
aren't we? And it's the 7th
Yeah,
today. So yes,
we
we're
just
here.
today wasn't so bad though. I don't think so. But they just fixed all the ACs on campus, and so we think that they actually have to come in and change our temperature because it's too cold. It was frigid in there, and it's to the point where the AC is leaking
Oh,
on the floor, which I
okay.
had to put in a ticket. But we'll see. I was like, there's a significant amount of water on the floor. I thought maybe that would get them there. It didn't. So, but the ticket is there. So if there's ever like mildew, then I put in the ticket. So, but yeah, there's things. Accountability is a big one. I
Yes.
think that, and communication. A lot of these students wouldn't have left their dorm rooms They probably would have hung out there. They wouldn't have been involved on campus. So kind of giving them pride in belonging
Yeah.
in something. And so I always use the phrase that if happy students make happy graduates, that make happy alumni, and happy alumni do what? Donate money
Yeah.
or
There you
time.
go.
Or time if
Or
you're full
time.
staff.
Yep.
Yeah, we can't all be, like, full sale. I tried. I brought it to administration. I was like, "You need to go to Hall of Fame and see what they're doing there, because try it." But shout out to your community because they are, tried and true supporters of one another, and I love it. But, even if we can implement 10% of
Yeah.
that, maybe 5, that would be great. So, yeah, it's definitely a lot of communication and accountability.
That's good, and I mean, I think that's an important two of these probably most important skills that you're transferring over, right? Like being accountable and how you communicate. That those things in this world of whatever career you go into is going to be very important. So that's great. As far as yourself, what does your day to day look like? Obviously we've talked a lot about Anna and how does a typical day happen at Florida Tech?
Yeah, today I was working on job recs and job descriptions, so that was not very fun. Um, right now, I am trying to catch up from the last 2 months of I was helping. Well, I was the convention planning chair, so it kind of took a. Thankfully, it happened in the summertime, so work took a back seat. But prior to that, it was a lot of trying to figure out how to do better, like strategic planning, um, the boring work, budgeting,
Yeah.
making. We want to work on an operations manual. We migrated. All our passwords to a password thing, and we will be changing all our passwords because the passwords were formerly on sticky notes. I'm not joking. And like currently trying to recruit, um, and I think part of it is my goal at Lawrence Tech that I didn't really fully get to implement all the way was to like set it up so that you can walk away from it.
Yeah.
So everything we're doing now is to set it up so not that I could walk away from it, sail off into the sunset now. But is to set it up so like if you're gone for the day, somebody can take over, or you can kind of like I'm working on ways to collect KPIs now
Hmm.
uh, more effectively. So I just got we have students come in, they swipe their ID on the
Yep.
front desk. So I just got that set up or that read, and I
Okay.
asked for that monthly so I can
Yep.
enter that into a spreadsheet. Just basically, the goal is to be able to prove that we're doing a great job now, and so that's a lot of busy work: Excel spreadsheets, strategic plans. Um, Today, Anna got her stickers, so she'll ask me for approvals, and I'm like, "This looks great, girl. I don't, sounds good. Just don't get me in trouble with marketing." And so I'm gonna work on fun things. Hopefully, have an event in the fall with. Uh, I don't want to say it. I shouldn't say it on stream, but we're trying to get Brevard County to have a in-person event. Um, in December, but Florida's a little bit messy with esports,
Yeah.
and so
Fingers
trying to
crossed for you.
navigate that is a little bit challenging. And then I'll be working on partnerships and trying to find ways to get sponsors because we have a very large project that I would like to implement, which is the AV project with like Extron, where I would love to have a full staff that could run a production and run every part of the
Right.
building, but I need a more palatable solution, and that is just I want to be able to walk in the production room and set a button and turn on every TV that I want with whatever
Right.
image I need versus you know somebody who can until they give me like a full-time person for that, and I don't think that's going to happen. We're already super fortunate. So But the last several months have been implementing strategies to like better create structure, opportunities for students. Um, I know we talked a lot about Anna. I'm going to talk about her again. Set her up for success.
Yep.
So redoing her role where she kind of like focuses on competition. So competition is unless she needs help from me, not with me.
Yeah.
Um, most of it that kind of falls on her because that's she loves competition.
Yeah.
That was just a byproduct of what I had to do to work in esports. And so planning events, project management. We cleaned a lot of closets out of the building. I'm a firm believer that I want, if you walk in, if you want to see something, I want to be able to be like, yeah, no problem. I'll show it to you and not be like, I can't show you that room. It's a
Yeah.
mess in there. So, a lot of cleaning and kind of just
Yeah.
getting that together in that capacity.
Yeah, that's great. Let's talk about esports and coffee. We've had Jackie on the show. Obviously, Sari is here. You are now on the show. Talk to me about esports and coffee. What is it for
Yeah.
maybe anyone that may not know? Give us the rundown.
Yeah, Jackie's in the chat too.
Jackie is in the
I had
chat.
to give it. Yeah, she's a longtime fan of Damn It Bennett. So, um, yeah, I we started Esports and Coffee, just like as a safe haven or a place that people could come. Well, I mean, obviously, originally it started with women, and feeling like there's a lot of negativity and not a place where we could go. And so we kind of got together, and this brainchild occurred, and we leaned into all of our strengths. They always had said, "Your strength is talking," and I'm like, "But I'm not doing any work if you just make me do that." Like, and so we, created a podcast, and we're take a little hiatus and see what happens because we're all at different stages
Yeah.
in life right now. Because life happens, kids. It just you can't stop it. But the community is awesome. There is a server that people are sharing. One of the things one good Wednesday, one yeah. Um, and like I started reading, so I chat with the books section. I might be talking to myself because I think I'm the only one reading books right now. No, Anissa reads books. Yes, yes. And then yeah, one good thing Wednesday. Thank you, Anissa, my girl. And I don't think we expected it
Yeah.
to kind of become what it did. And then it's kind of like, how do you keep up with your job and life
Yeah.
and all these things, and keep this amazing thing going all at the same time? So shout out to the community that's
Yeah.
still there chatting and keeping conversation going. You guys are amazing. I think that we had created a spot that is safe for people, and they feel welcomed. And
Yeah.
it's not just notice I said people. It's not just women anymore. It's just whoever needed a place.
Yeah.
And I do think in the last few years we've seen a shift a little bit. Not, it's like one step forward and 10 steps back for esports Twitter. But I do think we saw a shift in some positive
Yeah.
things a little bit more often if you look back 3 years ago. And I'd like to think that we had something to do with it.
I do. I do.
Yeah, yeah. Do I know if they remember the message? I don't think so, but we try.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
absolutely. And that's good. And I think like you said yourself, it's tough to balance leading a collegiate program and also, pushing forward a platform like esports and coffee and everything else in life and things happening in the world. Like it's tough when you have a lot of things on your plate. But you guys, and like you said, the community has really been great about being welcoming and continuing what you guys are doing. And it's always good to take a hiatus and figure out what the next path forward is, right? Like those are always, good ways to say, hey, this is what worked. This is what didn't work. Let's continue to go forward in these directions. Do you guys, have any plans when it comes to esports and coffee of what's next? Just continuing to grow the server? What's on the docket?
I mean, it's always about continuing the community, making them feel welcome. I think we haven't had a chance to pause and have this conversation. So I would like to see us figure out what's the next step, even including, I think that we all have chatted about how, sometimes it's for the next set of people to come in and
Yep.
take the forefront. That doesn't mean like we're gone. It just
Right.
means like maybe it's time for other people
New
to have a
opportunities. Yeah.
platform.
Hmm.
Yeah. Because I mean, obviously this is a different type of podcast or show, but the other esports panels, you kind of hear the same version of me or Jackie or Sari, based on whatever questions they asked. And so
Right.
how many times do you need that? And we're not going to really give you different answers.
Right.
Obviously growth and the way we speak changes, but yeah, I think that that would be an awesome next step, and maybe to have Dammit Bennett and Jacob back on the show,
There you
because
go. There you go.
Jacob is a longtime fan of Esports and
Jacob
Coffee.
is number one fan of all time.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. Nachos, Nachos Libros or something. I don't know. I think I added the Libros in there.
Well, we are at that point in the show where I do want to give you some time for you to shout out anything that you want to shout out, as well as let people know where they can find you, how to find you, if it's Twitter, LinkedIn, whatever, Discord, whatever it may be. How can they find you? And then, yeah.
Yeah. So on all social media platforms, I am Coach Danielle. I felt like it was a little bit diabolical to change my name to Director Danielle. That would be like weird. So I left Coach Danielle. Maybe one day I'll change back to my name. I do not stream on Twitch because that would be ridiculous. And I don't, I'm an interactive person. So like maybe one day. And Discord Radiating Sugar, or you just type in
Yep.
Danielle Sirekis. I guess one thing I'm doing right now is riding for, well, it's starting in September, raising money for children's cancer research. So I am pledged to ride 150 miles for the
That's
month of
right.
September, and then I'm trying to raise $500. I pales into comparison to previous years because I have a 5-year legacy with this people, but at least I started again. I haven't done it since 2022, and I fell off on that year. So I guess that's my shout out for what I'm doing right
I
now.
like it. And you are we didn't get into it, but you are like a triathlete, right? This is a background that you've had. So this is go on. Tell us more about this.
Oh boy. Yeah. So triathlons. How many people know that? Swim, bike, run. I like Olympic distance. Yeah, there you go, Anna. Olympic distance triathlons. I do want to do a Ironman one day, which
Yeah.
is a 2.4-mile swim, 112-mile bike, and a 32-mile. No, it's a full marathon. So 26.2. Wow, I can't believe I pulled those numbers off the
Yeah.
top of my head.
I would have given up at the beginning of the race.
Yeah,
I'm good
yeah.
actually.
Well, I took on triathlons, and I found out later that most people get into it upon retirement, and I'm
Uh-huh.
like, "Man, I'm ahead of the bell curve
Yeah, there you
always."
go.
Yeah, but it's very expensive, but I already have all the stuff, so, I don't wanna train for a triathlon. I just wanna find something healthy and
Yeah.
attainable, but I do wanna run, the Disney half
Okay.
marathon. No, I don't wanna do a marathon, and then, give a shout out, to Tracy.
There you go. I love that. Well, thank you so much for joining us here on the show. Our next episode is going to be on August 21st with Andrew Ross, who's the esports coordinator at the University of South Florida, Tampa. Going to be a great episode. But Danielle, thank you so much for being with us today, and we will see you guys on the 21st. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Bye.